Hello everyone and welcome to our webinar. So the topic for today's meeting is automation of the customer service with AI-powered inbound chats and calls. Before we start, I would like to give you a quick overview on the way you can use our webinar meeting room. So on top of your screen, you can find two buttons. One with the emoji sign for giving us a feedback whether you like the material or have network issues. So do not shy to use that. And besides, you might see a question mark. So you can write down the questions there and we will discuss during the Q&A. Audience. So today's agenda is as follows. We start with a short introduction about us, then move to today's customer service pain points. One second, please. I have a message. Yeah. My dear co-speaker Mailiis will tell the way Elisa Estonia does chat and call automation. We will discuss the future vision of the customer support and mention the technologies behind the miracle. So, and today we have two lovely speakers. One of them is me. So who doesn't know me? I'm a VP of Customer Success at MindTitan. And we also have a Mailiis, who is the head of Telecom Services at Elisa Estonia. Before we proceed, I would like to run a quick poll questionnaire so we would understand who is attending the webinar today. So please answer two short questions. So I will hold that for 20 seconds. So please mark, what is your industry? Okay, we're getting answers. Thank you so much. Okay. And now we'll have one more. And please, if you do not mind, please give me a feedback whether you hear me properly. So just thumbs up or something, so I understand that everything is working properly. Okay, we have some answers. Nice, thank you so much. Okay. Okay, I'm closing it. And I will continue. So basically, the question is like who we are. Like we are company MindTitan. We are one of the best known AI agency in Baltics, operating worldwide and having clients from Japan to Saudi Arabia. Our headquarters are located in Tallinn, but we also have an office in the United States, and we work with various industries, from finance to telecommunication and pharmaceuticals. And just to outline trust level, at the moment we work with the biggest organizations in our region, but besides working with private companies and organizations, we work with public sector. For instance, we're responsible for developing AI strategy for the government of Estonia. So currently we work with different ministries, and by the way, we will have a separate webinar where we will discuss the projects we are dealing right now. So when coming back to the question of the pain points of the B2C service companies, so most of the people who are related to the topic know that a company with 4 million subscribers has around 1 million customer contacts per month. So, and you need around 200 people to operate these requests, and on average, a customer waits 2.4 minutes until he is connected to the agent. And not all people have enough patience, or people simply are busy. So that's why there's such a thing called abandon rate. So on average, we see that in industry, it's around 15%. And we also know that around 10 to 20% of the people who are calling want to buy something. So they are related to the sales opportunities. So if you take abandon rate and take potential sales, you understand that basically because of that, you lose 2% of sales. Well, from our experience, the conversion rate in industries where you have inbound calls comes to 50%. So it means that actually companies are losing around 1% of sales coming from the inbound calls. So one side of the coin is, yes, we're losing the sales. Of course, companies or customer support should understand that. But besides that, there's also such factor called customers' expectations. So today, people expect to receive an answer instantly, like simply Googling it, right? You search for a question and you get instant response. So that's why our research showed that 66% of consumers consider switching to a competitor if they're kept on hold longer than expected. So that's why customer support people understand that problems and they're trying to find new solutions that will solve them. And my lovely colleague today, Mailiis, will share her experience with how Elisa operates chat and call automation.
Yes, hello everybody. My name is Mailiis. I'm a bit sorry that I can't see you, but hopefully you can hear me. So whenever something bad happens with my mic, or if I lose connectivity somehow, please let me know in the chat, or just give me a signal, because sometimes I know that my mic does play tricks on me. I'm going to share a couple of slides. I'm basically gonna just tell you our story of how we started and how we ended up to a place where we are right now. I'm glad to say that I can, as far as I just checked people who are attending this webinar right now, I recognized a couple of familiar names. Therefore, some of you know me already and have heard a bit of this story, but I can assure you that I have added something new even to you guys who have already heard some of it. Elisa in Estonia is the challenger on the telecom market. We are the market leader in consumer customer area and strong second on the whole market. Therefore, we have always done things a bit differently and always trying to find new and sort of smart ways of doing the things that people are usually doing. I have been in the telecom sector for more than 11 years. I have worked in product management most of my life, so really connected to product services that we are providing. And today, well, as the title suggests, I'm responsible for the whole telco sector products and services, and also end user devices. My story actually with MindTitan and with AI, let's say, started in 2017, almost 3 years ago, and it started when Elisa was actually in a terrible place. In a fascinating place in one ways, but as a company, we were in a really bad place. We were merging with a cable operator called Starman in Estonia, which meant that Elisa was a mobile-only operator up until 2017. Then we acquired another company, Estonia's biggest cable operator, and two companies merged. That meant that since we were mobile-only before that, and Starman was cable-only, at that point, we didn't have overlapping competencies, and we simply had to make two quite different companies work together on a really competitive market. As telecom sector is a really competitive market all over the place. And that actually resulted in having most of the problems that you can have in a telecom sector. Everything that could go wrong basically did. Although the merger was really successful, at the end of the day, we had a really bad run in 2017, at the beginning of 2018, when with everything that concerns customer service. So we had to make a lot of people work together, gain new competences, and we realized really quickly that as most of our KPIs were going south, even if we climb out of the place that we were, we needed to do something differently in the future. And a decision was made back then that we have to find sort of a bulletproof or foolproof or emotion-proof or human-proof solution for customer service, because we knew that this crisis will not be the last one. And as of 2 months ago, I can say that we have succeeded. We have succeeded within the past 2 years of making our customer service at least crisis-proof, if not bulletproof, then crisis-proof. So this is the story today. We started with chatbot. no surprise there. But the important part here is that we never intended to do a bot, or we never intended to have a bot. Our bot always was meant to actually automate customer service, so fully resolved all the customer contacts that are coming in. From there, we actually started two different domains of AI, two different data science domains. I'm not going to go into detail about that. Should you feel interested, just let us know later on, and we can have a different discussion there. But we call them happiness index and facial biometrics. Those are two topics that we're not going to go into detail here. But most that you can see on this slide, actually, most of it is in a way connected to customer service, and with the aim of actually moving towards a path where humans, our human agents, can do what they were meant to be doing something that is, I don't know, trickier, more emotional, requires human action, requires human contact to actually happen. And since bot was the first part where we started, because it was technically most sort of the easiest way for us to start, but not just, it's not just the easier part for us to start that was relevant. It was both the technology was more ready back then to start with the chatbot, and we never had a live chat. And live chat was something, or chatting with us for customer service was actually something that the customers were asking back then, and we never had that because it never made sense to us business-wise to offer live chat. So we started out with a bot and a live chat, in order just to provide training data for our bot. And during the first year and a half, actually, our bot and our dialogue tree management and our whole system that we built around the bot, actually, we realized that it became like the center of the future of our customer service, our automated customer service, and customer service for human agents as well. So Annika, that is the name of our bot, our customer service bot, sort of became the knowledge base for us, because we realized that we have put so much effort into building a strong business organization and business processes around our bot that we felt secure that in addition to just using our bot to automate the chats that were coming in, we could also use the same chatbot dialogue flows to support our frontline. So our frontline was able to use the same chatbot dialogue flows that we are using for our customers, which means that we finally have a solution for never-ending problem. Most of huge customer service companies have a never-ending problem about manuals, about the manuals that are written about usually by product managers or someone else from the business side. Manuals that say that if a customer has a question, then how should you answer it? What is the correct procedure? What should you do? How should this customer contact be handled? This is something that we have built into our bot, and now we are letting our human agents use the same dialogue flows, and we have a whole process in place just to make sure that the information there is correct. And of course, faster onboarding means that if you're fresh, if you're a new employee, then the bot can help you to get on board quicker. Another problem that we had was that, okay, we can automate customer service with our bot, which meant that the written contacts that were coming in, that they were getting automated. We could help the customers quicker there, but we also had a problem in our customer center. And that means that we needed a solution for our old school IVR. We needed a solution to get the information from our customers quicker, but why they are calling. So what we did was we eliminated the necessity basically for an old school IVR. So previously, when you called us, you had to choose first the language, like Estonian or Russian in our case. Then you had to choose the topic why you called us. So press 1 for this topic, press 2 for that topic, and etc. What we did now, or what we are live with now, is when you call us, our bot picks up, says, "Hello, my name is Annika. How can I help you today? Please describe why are you calling us today?" And I will find the correct agent for you, the correct human agent. So Annika routes the calls, and the calls are divided between agents through skills that we have told Annika to route the calls. And again, since Annika is picking up all the calls, we are now monitoring in live what sort of calls are coming in. There's classifier that finds anomalies, and whenever Annika detects that there might be something wrong, something has gone wrong in the network, or customers are calling in saying that something doesn't work, then the live information straight goes to our SOC, our software monitoring center, and they can see on the screen and live on the map from where calls are coming in and on what topic. So what are the customers complaining about? For the IVR, again, we needed to build, or language model was necessary to be built for us. We got transcriptions of all the calls, which meant that now we know exactly why customers are calling us, because we have had a statistics about why customers are calling us for 15 years, but the statistics is put together by human agents. And the human agents, basically what they do, they have to pick from drop-down menu. And when a human being picks something from a drop-down menu, they usually just pick something that subjectively just seems right to them. Or when they feel lazy or tired, they just pick something from the drop-down menu. So we have had statistics about why customers are calling us based on those selections from drop-down menu for years. But the quality of that data turned out to be the same as most of the data that human beings put together. So it's actually just showing us trend lines and not the facts of why customers are actually calling us. Now we can detect from those call transcriptions, we can detect exactly what the customers were asking, exactly how our representatives answered those questions. So we call that a real contact reason model for our business side. In the future, what we are hoping for, or not hoping, but what we're expecting or waiting for, is a voice synthesis. Like we can use our chat dialogue flow actually to basically two ways around, or we can use them in our call center as well. But the situation for Estonian is that, yes, there is a voice synthesis model, and there is a robot that we are actually using in some of our services, but it's like an old school robot. So it sounds like a robot. It doesn't work like whenever you talk to, I don't know, Alexa, or when you talk to Siri, or when you talk to Google Assistant, they sound like a human being. Estonian version of that does not sound like a human being yet. It's not neural network based, and that's, well, like I said, like an old school robot there. But there is an expectation that currently, hopefully within the next, I don't know, 6 months or one year, we might be using voice synthesis again to use our chat dialogue flows to answer those questions during whether IVR or during the call, when the robot has picked up the call, and just start giving out answers and guiding customers towards solution. There's a punctured line here going from IVR to our chatbot flows. It means that we were actually planning on going live in March with testing with sort of intermediate version of picking up a reason for the call to come in from IVR, detecting it, and then sending an SMS to our customer, or the customer who is calling in, saying that I picked up why you call us. Human agents are busy right now, but if it's okay with you, I can help you via chat. Could you please log in so I can chat with you? So this was something that we had planned to go live in March, but then, well, Corona happened. So a crisis happened. So we had to push that on, and hopefully we can move on with that in, I don't know, March or April. Well, hopefully sooner than March, actually. Hopefully in the autumn, probably, to move live with that as well. So I really want to see what the results there will be. So most of the projects that you saw on the previous picture are connected somehow. So there's a whole system in place. They are not different projects. They don't solve different business problems, but they all have the same agenda: to give insights to the business side and to actually guide customers toward actually solving the issues, why they're contacting us. And there's a few philosophical sort of points that we also decided really early on, and that are really important for us already today. The first one being that there's a specific way we are working. There are specific roles that need to be in place. They don't necessarily have to be different people. Usually they are, or there might be several people behind some of these roles. But there are always, in every single project, in everything that we do concerning, well, AI, let's say, there are always 4 different roles. The first one, and it always has to be in this exact order, the first one who actually starts whichever project we are talking about, the first one is always the business problem owner, which means that that is someone from the business side that doesn't know anything about technology, doesn't need to know, doesn't need to have any awareness about it, but they need to have an actual business problem, and they need to be like so much back against the wall that they are willing to put their time and their effort into it. They need to have a problem that really needs solving, and they can't use traditional tools to solve this problem. So whenever a business, someone comes to me and says that, hey, I heard that this can be done with AI, can we try it out? Then I don't know, like 90% of the times I usually say no, we're not going to do that, because you have so many other things that you can try. You have so many different things you can do just to move forward. The AI always has to be the last resort, not because it's expensive and not because it's I don't know, too complicated. It's because it needs a lot of effort, it needs a lot of time, a lot of energy from the business side. And in order for people to actually be engaged and to be part of this project from, I don't know, day 0 up until the infinity, basically, always be there and always be the one to put their insight into it and the one actually using it and bringing the business value out of it, they need to have such a serious problem that they feel that there is no other solution for that. Once we have found that, once we have found the, let's say, champion about with a really strong problem, then the other roles are sort of technical, which means you need data. You can't do anything without data, and the data is always messy. The data is always needs to be clean. There's always problems with data, so you need your architectures, you need data engineering, you need someone to actually make the data happen, or some material for the data scientist. And the data science part has always been MindTitan's job. So the business problem owner is always from our side, from Elisa's side. Data engineering used to be MindTitan's job as well. Now we are moving it to more and more into in-house. So most of the new projects are done by us. Some of it is still done by MindTitan. So this is a specific role. And if you don't have these competencies in-house, I suggest that you outsource them as well. But data science has always been like the magical part, and building the models has always been MindTitan's job. And for the foreseeable future, I'm going to say that this stays this way because this makes more sense to me. Now, here are like logical 3 roles that every project should have. And what I learned in the beginning of 2018 was that those 3 actually can't work together because they speak totally different languages. They don't understand each other, and there will be a lot of lost time, lost energy, lost or pointless emotions when you just leave those 3 sort of getting along with each other. And the 4th role that is really critical, I call it sort of the bridge or the glue or the translator between the previous 3 roles. In my case, I call it product manager, machine learning product manager. It doesn't matter what the label is. It just has to be someone who understands the business side, is a people's person, so they can actually communicate between previous 3 roles. And so in a sense, you need basically it's like riding a bicycle. You need someone who can build a bicycle for you, and it has to be a really good one. So you need excellent data science, but someone has to ride the bicycle, and that can't be a data scientist. It can't be outsourced. This has to be someone from your side. So really superb knowledge of the business, and then excellent data science, and then you can achieve like really, really good results. The second philosophical thing that we decided was, like I mentioned at the beginning, we've never done bot. We never wanted to have just a bot. We always wanted to solve real customer problems. We really wanted to automate customer service. And that meant that we created like a system in our heads or a logic saying that what are other companies doing wrong, basically? What's the reason that bots usually don't have that good of a reputation? And back then, there were no bots for Estonian, but a lot of them were popping up for English. So there were a lot of English bots out there, and they had really bad reputation, and people really didn't like them, and customers really didn't like them. So what we decided that I would say that 80, 85, or even 90% of the bots that you meet during your customer journey for, I don't know, for whatever company, they are what I call informational bots. They just give you general information about a question that you ask. Like, just to give like an example, in our case, it would be like, I don't know, I'm going abroad next week, and I want to use internet abroad. How much it's going to cost me? So an informational bot, what it would do, it would just say that, sure, there's AI component. I mean, it processes natural language. It understands that you're asking about roaming prices, and it just gives you a link saying that, hey, this is the link to roaming prices. Check it out from there. Now, I'm a customer. I'm at your website. If I wanted to get a link to your website, I probably would have either, I don't know, Googled it, used your search engine, or most probably I have been there. I didn't get an answer from there, whether I didn't understand the UA you are using, or just the information there just didn't make sense to me. So it doesn't help me. It makes me most probably more mad than I was and feeling stupid, basically. What we decided was Annika has been live from the very first day, giving out personalized answers. At first, it was only available in our self-service. Now it's available in our, well, just the website. But whenever it detects a question that would be of better quality, giving out the answer with the personalized information, like the example I gave you, it always asks the customer to log in. And in that case, it can give you an answer about your, I don't know, your price plan, your specific package that you're using, and the specific price for the specific country where you're going. So she would ask you that, okay, please specify where you're going. And as I saw that some of you are from other telcos, then you know that there is a huge world behind price plans. After Roam Like Home in Europe, it means that there is so many nuances that depend on the number that you're using, the package you are using, the country you're traveling to, etc., etc., etc. So it checks in the background what's the deal with you, and gives out the answer of specifically how much data will cost you. The next step would be transactional, meaning that if it's, I don't know, if you need to, let's say, she in our cases, she checks whether you have roaming switched on, and asks that, I see that it's switched on. Do you, well, let's say she sees that the roaming is switched off. So she asks, you can't use your data, your roaming is switched off. Could you please just, do you want me to help you? Do you want me to switch it on? And then it does it for you. Next step would be, I don't know, upselling, saying that if you wanted to use, let's say, more data, I can offer you this package, or let's add some data to you, wishing you, I don't know, farewell and whatever, and doing some sales or doing something else that is necessary for the customer. And then theoretically, there would be one more step. It's sort of in italic because I don't really believe in it. Usually, sometimes people call it conversational. It's not a technical term. It's just something that I've heard using. It means that the bot actually is something that can hold up a conversation by itself. Like, I don't know, using your name in sentences more often, changing the way it answers different customers whenever they see you the second time or third time, sort of, I don't know, giving a human touch to it. Now, it is my strong belief that when you're a customer wanting to be having a problem and wanting to be guided towards solution, you really don't care. You really don't want this bot to act like a human being or try to act like a human being. You actually want your problem to be solved. So it is my gut feeling that like 85% of the business value will be created here. There's no use of having bots just giving out simple answers that give you nothing, know nothing about you, or could lead you to wrong conclusions. There is some business value that we don't provide currently. We don't do a lot of next best offers, next best actions. it's sort of a business decision. We haven't been we wanted to take things slow up until past two months. So it has been a business decision from our side, basically. But we operate here mostly, and a lot of business value is generated here. Now with IVR, like I said, the second thing we're doing, the situation is a bit different. The situation, like there's a customer having a question, then there's a lot of agents, and internally the view from looking from our side is that we have divided our teams into 10 different groups, and each of these groups have different skill sets. And since we're quite old telco, I mean, in Finland, more than 100 years, in Estonia, 30 years, we have quite a lot of legacy IT systems, which means that there are a lot of CRMs behind there, and some of the services are in some of the IT systems, the other ones in another. So not everyone, let's say this group can't do what these guys are doing, and vice versa. Now this customer, let's say, has a question. And I love this question because this is a good example. The word hoop doesn't exist, not in Estonia, not in any language in that sense. This is the name of our streaming service. And the customer, this is an actual example. A customer is calling and saying that, how can I sign up with this service you have, Hoop? I want to watch a movie. So just when I'm a customer and when I should be using an old school IVR, and let's say that you give me like 10 examples, I would say that, yeah, it's a question about your service. Sure, it's a question about add-on services because this is an add-on service. It's a question about TV content because it's a movie I want to watch. I want to update my contract. Sure, because I kind of want to update my contract. I don't know, maybe it's a tech support thing because maybe I have to do something technical about it. What we as a company we want the customer to end up here. But there are like 4 other choices that they can make, and the customer would not be wrong. And in our case, the regular old school IVR would take a customer on average 2.5 minutes. Now this one, when Annika just picks up the call, listens to this sentence and classifies, it takes up to a minute. So we're saving like 1.5 minutes with most of the calls. We're transferring correctly. Humans, when they're doing this, it's 75% of accuracy to end up with the correct team. So 25% of the calls that were coming in were being retransferred. And every retransfer, let's say the customer chooses this one, every single retransfer, it's like 30 seconds again. So 30 seconds, listening to the customer, again, 30 seconds retransfer. So this is the time we are saving. There are, like I said, 10 routing paths in our case. We just measured like a month ago. We did a checkup with human beings, took 5,000 random calls, and humans were checking how the bot transferred the call, and was it done correctly, or should it have ended up with a different agent. So the accuracy between those different routes was different. But overall, out of all those 5,000 calls, the accuracy was 90%, and I'm actually really happy about it. The NPS from the customers has not dropped. It has increased a bit, but I don't think it's the bots work. Basically, I think the human agents have been doing really well, but the bot has not had any negative impact on that. And of course, we have had fewer dropped calls because we're just getting more customers serviced, and our human agents can do their job better, and they don't need to retransfer the customers. Now, like I said that I'm going to share something that I haven't shared before. So this is like a world premiere and the first time I'm going to show this data. This is actually something that we ended up with during the crisis we all experienced a few months back. My story began with an internal crisis, with a crisis that was sort of just for us and internally, and with two companies merging. And then we decided that we need to do something that would be crisis proof. And this is the proof here that we have managed to do that. This is the way all our incoming calls are, well, basically that's our channel split. Yeah, we have a lot of calls coming in. The scale here has been taken out, but we have like 100 up to 140,000 calls coming in every single month. So these are the calls coming in. These are the contacts from sales shops. There's, well, some people still write us emails, and then there's chatting on our website. Now, we have been holding our chatting capabilities like in a really modest level because, like I said, our main idea is always not to provide live chat, but to always just automate the customer service. And we're constantly wondering that how are the customers gonna react to, I don't know, us pushing them to chatting, and this is something that they're willing to do, and how can we increase it? How can we do it so we wouldn't, I don't know, step on anyone's toes or anything like that? So then March happened, and we were in a situation where I remember it was a Sunday afternoon, and there was our first sales shop that got the first case of corona, which meant that they went into quarantine, and then 100 people in our sales shops, they got scared. And it was a sort of a panic attack going around because we were not, well, legally, we could have remained open during the quarantine, but and we could have, but since our representatives basically what happened, they got scared, and I can totally get that. It was a Sunday afternoon, and then I had to had a talk with Christian, who is the CEO of MindTitan, saying that, hey Christian, remember like a couple of days ago we had a hypothetical talk about what would be our bots capability and how much more of chats they can just hypothetically handle, or what if I wanted to put more live agents on the chat, just hypothetically, could it be done? And then on that Sunday evening, I was calling him and saying that, hey, Christian, listen, you know what we talked about. Yeah, that's going to happen tomorrow. Like, we're going to put like 100 people on the live chat because we're closing our sales shops, and we need to do something because, well, you need to solve this problem for us, because otherwise there will be 100 people left without the work, and we will be in a lot of trouble because we just can't handle the contacts through our call center. So just a close-up of what happened was we actually pushed like 21% of all the incoming contacts into live chat. And this is the situation when you have a bot that can solve like 20% of the problems, it really helps you. And we came to a conclusion that previously the bot was like 2% of our full employee count, like doing the work of 2% of the people. During the crisis, it showed us we have a potential of at least 10% of our employees. And then if we raise the first call resolution rate, then it could go up to 16 with just really minimal effort. And just to prove why I'm so confident about it is that we measure our bots' transactional NPS the same way we do with human agents. And as you can see, it's really close. It's more than 40, more than it should be. The human part hasn't suffered, and the bot has even increased during the crisis. And during that time, what's really important for me, we haven't lost any customers, because achieving the incoming contacts could be really easy if you're losing customers. But we have actually gained a lot of customers. So the number of our customer base has gone up. The number of our transactional NPS has remained the same, has been growing quite significantly. Like I said, back in 2017, they were horrible times for us. This is the drop gold rate. It has decreased, and the crisis that happened here didn't bring this up. And this is a success story for me, because the crisis was there and we had a lot of contacts coming in, and this is the success story for me. So that's why I know that we have done something right, and now we can just move forward, push it on, and now a lot of great things are coming along. So that's our story. I'm going to go give the mic back to Konstantin now. If you have any questions, then I will answer them later on, but he will explain in more detail of how we're technically going to do that, or how have we been doing that technically.
Yes, thank you, Mailiis, for a wonderful presentation, as always. Hopefully, we'll continue to launch other cool AI projects together. So, one sec, let me fire on the presentation. Just a second, please. Okay, so basically, mostly mentioned so far regarding customer support automation can be really described by one word, which is Titan CS. And mostly those who do not know will ask, like, but what does it mean? So today, Titan CS is a virtual assistant that has several key users. So one of them is AI chatbot for automation of the written communication. The second one is AI callbot for call automation. And besides that, we have call representatives and frontline representatives in the shop that can use the virtual assistant to assist them if they have some questions, especially those who just started their work. So I'm slightly going to discuss the way the AI work. So for those who does not know, so first element is the classifier. So we need to explain the machine to understand formally written text question. So because in our case, people can just write the question as they write it to just the humans, right? So and natural language processing is used for that purpose. So let's assume a customer asks a question the first time, like, hey, I'm planning to go abroad and I need to use the internet. And basically, every question has a meaning behind, and it is called an intent. In our example, this might be roaming. So now you need to tell the machine that the meaning behind this specific sentence is roaming. And this is done by the process called labeling. So basically, it's just putting tags or labels on these sentences so the machine will understand that this specific sequence of letters means this specific intent. And when we collect at least 20 variations of the same questions, so basically which means that they're labeled, we can train an AI classifier to be accurate enough to classify with accuracy of 92%. And even if a person writes like 21st or 22nd time the sentence differently, the AI will still classify the topic. So after we train the AI classifier, we now taught the machine to understand what's the question. But it's not enough to really solve the issue, right? Because you need to give some kind of an answer. And for that purpose, you develop so-called dialogue flows that are the core element of the Titan CS. So as in our previous example, a customer asked a question about roaming, and an agent first time handles the communication because you simply need to collect the data. So it's labeled. And after appropriate amount of data is collected and AI is trained, you start building a dialog flow. So per each label that you want to automate, you build one. So this is like a logic of conversation of asking specific additional questions or giving an instant response. Because sometimes you need to classify, you need to get additional details. Again, in our example of the roaming question, you would ask like, what is the country you want to call, or for which number do you want to activate the roaming for? Because sometimes customers simply have several numbers. And after this is done, now you can integrate the system with the backend systems through the API integration. So you can integrate that the CRM or other custom-made software that your organization is using. And this allows really activate the roaming and not just send like some kind of a link with the information that can be found on the website. And as mentioned already, dialog flows can be integrated and used for chatbots as a frontline customer support tool and automated conversation for calls. Also important moment to mention, even though Mailiis already talked a little bit about that, there are two types of chatbots. So we are not comparing ourselves to different keyword-based chatbots because they are very ancient, I would say already. I would compare ourselves to other NLP-based chatbots. So the main issue is that they are basically connected. They are connected to the idea of routing customers just to the right agent or providing a link with the basic information, like frequently asked questions. Another thing is that the business owner and those people who create answers are customer support people. In our case, we have another approach. So first of all, the target is to fully automate the inbound customer contacts and really perform the task. Again, activate the roaming. And the business owner and the person who is responsible for the development of the solutions is the product owner. And there are several reasons why we think that it should be done like that. First of all, only product owner knows the product well enough to create a simple dialogue structure that will be easily understood by a customer. As usually, customer support people start building the answers based on the manuals that are written by the product owners. And secondly, being in the loop or in charge of the product, of the dialogue flow development, helps the product owners to understand what kind of questions arise from the customers. So it helps them to improve the existing manuals. So in future, there will be less contacts. And thirdly, product owners are the first to get the information changes within the business, like for example, pricing changes. So for him, making improvements in the dialogue is much more easier. I would also define two other important components of the AI project success. And mostly those who are connected to the AI know that the real success comes from the data preparation. It's like 60 or 70% of the success. And some of our competitors even talk that, yeah, we are using self-training AI or pre-built language models that can be used for setting up an AI chatbot like within a couple of weeks. But what we see actually happening across different industries is that there are simply bots that are failing to classify the topic correctly. So their NLP accuracy is, say, like 60 to 80%. So the question is like, how can you really perform the task for the customer and answer his question if you simply do not understand what he's asking, right? So, so this specific model of data quality assurance basically is built for the purpose of preparing an accurate data for training. So two people are labeling the same dialogues. So in case they do it the same way, then the system allows to use this data for AI training, like automatically. But if they have different opinion on the same sentence or the same dialogue, the system blocks the data so to be used in the AI training. And usually within the organization, there is like a third person who is the most experienced customer support person, and he gives his professional opinion what is the right answer in this case. So by that, we minimize the risk or almost exclude that a wrong labeling will be used for AI training. And also we give a feedback from our data scientists how to improve this process. This is done like monthly or even more frequently, depends on the need. And by that, we are sure that the quality of the data is the highest. Also interesting fact that some managers think about the percentage of automation as the key metric, totally forgetting about the FCR, which is the key metric for the customer support. And there are like several ways how you can improve the FCR. First of all, as mentioned before, you should use the product owners in the dialogue flow creation, or at least in the loop, depends on the topic. So this helps to create a very simple dialogue that will really resolve the issue and customer won't come back with the same question. And the second approach is, as we call it, chat quality interface. So basically, every time our chatbot communicates with a human or with a customer, at the end of the dialogue, he asks whether he solved the issue or he did not. So if he did not, all this data ends up on that dialogue data, ends up at the unresolved chats data sets. And now, after that, you need to understand what is the root cause of the problem, why we couldn't solve the issue. Like was it the problem of the AI classifier and we need to label more data or make changes to the labels? Or the issue is with the dialogue. So people just simply do not understand. And usually we see that it requires around 4 to 5 dialogue changes until you reach the optimal results for the FCR. And so having product owner in the loop, you improve the dialogue and launch it to real life. Of course, we understand that chatbots are important. And we know that the number of users will be increasing year by year. But at the moment, we see that it only consists of less than 30% of total customer support. Still, this number, it can vary depending on the region because people have different habits depending on the country. But still, calls, and here you see the number, account for 68% of all customer support communication. So thinking only about chats, I think it's not enough. You need to think about call automation as well. And that's why we built the AI callbot. So I'm not going into details in this specific webinar because we're soon running out of time, but I will give you some information and ideas. How does it work? So first, you build company-specific speech-to-text model. And after that, you build a natural language processing model to classify the skill set. So as mentioned already by Mailiis, then the AI voice IVR is able to classify specific topics and route them to necessary agents, and or make some kind of priorities for the topic, for example, sales. So a human calls, he explains his problem, and he is immediately directed to the right person. Then the next step is developing a customer support AI assist tool. So basically, it's the tool that follows the call in real time and guides through the right question and answer dialogue flow. Especially, this is very useful for new employees that are not well experienced and they do not know everything about the customer support, as it takes several months to learn that. And finally, when these previous two steps are fulfilled, we start with the call automation. The number is a little bit less than chat automation due to technological limitations, but we see that some simple questions can be automated or forwarded to the chatbot as well. And finally, I would like to describe the big picture from our perspective. Mailiis already mentioned something similar, but I will finally also tell you how we see that. So the core of the system are the dialogue flows. And the uniqueness is that it can be integrated with all the communication channels that customer support has. So first, the user is the chatbot. The main value is automation, up to 60%, and also detection of the sales opportunities. Because I don't know if you have thought about how many people are browsing your website during nighttime. And we see from Elisa's experience that there are a lot of people that want to buy something, and this chatbot simply helps you to detect them. You can automate this process, or you can forward information to the live agents, real sales agents that will call this person next time. So it's a business decision. It depends on you. When you develop a company-specific speech-to-text model, you can implement the AI voice IVR, and that again detects sales opportunities, is responsible for call routing, technical failures monitoring, or can help to transcribe the calls and make some kind of analytics, understand what are the questions your customers are asking, and so on. You can also do a representative competency model to understand how well they're working and make a good representative onboarding tool, as you will be routing only the questions that your agents are aware and can answer. And then when you implement the AI voice IVR with the dialogue flows, you create a frontline customer support tool that guides your agents through the dialogues. And the last but not least, when you develop a company-specific text-to-speech model, you integrate that with a dialogue flow and you receive automated calls. So this is the way we see automation with AI. Yeah. So basically, last thing to mention is that during the crisis, customer behavior has changed. And we believe that it will remain the same after the crisis. That's it for the presentation. Now we have Q&A session. We have some questions, so I will show them. 1 second, please. If you have any questions, please write them down as well. So it seems that we have some questions to Mailiis. So I will show it on the screen right now. So what is the FCA rate for the chatbot?
Yeah, well, for the chatbot, it was slightly higher. It used to be like 56%. of all the contacts that were coming in during the Corona crisis. It dropped to 48 or something like that, because it saw a lot of the questions it never saw before. Now it's back to, I think, like 52, 53%, something like that. But it has revolved around there. I think that we haven't really done anything from the business side. So this is sort of an organic first call resolution rate right now. I think it could be pushed up to 60, 70% with some effort, but I think like the glass ceiling would be somewhere around 80, because I think 20% of all the questions that are coming in are just, well, people are messy and emotional. So I think 80 would be like the topmost we can achieve.
So do you think that the decrease in the FCR, it was currently during the crisis, right?
It was during the crisis, yeah. I mean, the bot saw so many questions it had never seen before. So it dropped basically because of that, mostly.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Then the next question. So did you try the implementation of the chatbots with different languages, or?
Well, we have a customer base of Estonian and Russian people. It's not a technological issue. The system is built, what do you call it, language agnostically, so it doesn't matter which language to use. In our case, we're live with Estonian just because we want to learn first and make the learning curve with one language, and then move on to the next ones basically in the future. But the language is not an issue. It's just a business decision again.
Okay. It's okay. And the last question that we have: why companies are afraid of the AI technologies and some are skeptical? What do you think?
I think there's a lot of hype going around, and there are a lot of I think there are a lot of service providers who just don't get their customers, who are just approaching the topic from a technical point of view. And this is something that is really, I would never suggest it, because you shouldn't do anything just because there is the technology or just because you have the data. You should always solve an actual problem you have. You should always solve actual business problems. And I think that, well, I see from my colleagues and I see from my peers from other companies, mostly the projects who have failed, it's not the technology that fails, it's the business side that fails to actually use the technology or make it work for them. Like I said during my presentation, a lot of effort has to go into it. If your back is not against the wall, if you don't feel the need to do something that has never been done before, do something so differently that you won't get the results, because you can't do it halfway, or you can't find a service provider who will fix the problems for you. They can help you with the technology part, but you have to do most of the heavy lifting when it comes to the business side. And I think that's the key here. So I think people are skeptical, because they should be, because there are a lot of companies out there, a lot of service providers who are just offering the technology part. And if you don't really get what you should be doing, or you're just doing AI or just doing bots, I think you will end up with a disappointment. So I think the people who are skeptical, they are right in many ways. This is a new topic, and it should be approached with a deep knowledge of what you actually want to achieve, not just experimenting.
Okay, that's very clear. So it was the last question. So last thing I would like to tell you that we offer you to sign up for a free online workshop, basically where we can cover some of the topics. So what are the pre-work that should be done in the organization before you set up any AI projects? We could speak about the roadmap of like how to build AI automation in the customer support, or it can be related to other questions. And of course, the business value for a specific use case. So when you will leave the webinar, there will be a very short survey. So please fill that. So you will give us some feedback. How did it go? And after that, you will be transferred to a specific page where you can just fill the contact us details, and we can set up a workshop and discuss your use case. And Mailiis, we have one more question here.
Okay. Go on.
So Nawaf asked, like, did you have the data when you started, or did you have to go through the process of gathering and organizing the data? If so, what challenges have you faced?
It has been different with our different projects. Like I said, we started with chatbot with absolutely no data. We actually tried in the initial phase using emails because, like I said, we didn't have live chat before. We tried using emails. That was the wrong road to take. Wouldn't suggest it to anyone. So yeah, we had to first gather the data of how customers are actually talking in a chat. Most of the other models, we didn't need to gather the data because we have been quite BI driven and we have a lot of data just laying around. And we are have been using our data warehouse for, I don't know, 15 years or something like that. But what we did learn was that the data you have for business intelligence, that's not on the same level as the data you need for machine learning models. Like the data we are using for BI, it has holes on it. It's not the quality it should be. The pipelines are faulty most of the times, and you just don't realize because BI gives you trend lines, and it gives you just in sort of a helicopter view of what's going on. Machine learning will go into details and will find all the flaws that are there. So yeah, we have had a couple of bumps there. We have stopped some of the projects just because the quality of the data just doesn't meet the requirements, especially if this data is gathered by our human agents, which means that they interpret what the customer is saying and writing it down somewhere. This is rubbish. This is the data. We just can't use it because most of the times it's like, well, not most of the times, 25%, I know exactly, of the times it's just rubbish. So we have had both of the experiences.
Yeah, and as I mentioned also during the presentation, that the data preparation is really 60–70%, and if you fail with that step, then everything next is just useless, basically.
Yeah, this is something that you just have to be prepared for. This is natural. This always happens, and I think I haven't had a project where it has been such a smooth run that we didn't have to work hard on the data first. This is just something that is, like I said, natural and should be sort of tackled. Every single problem just approached and tackled and resolved whenever such a problem occurs.
Okay, so it seems we don't have any other questions. So first of all, Mailiis, thank you for having this time today to speak about this interesting topic, and I thank everyone for joining our webinar. So please fill in the survey after the webinar, and I think Mailiis also wants to say something then.
Yeah, I would just like to say thank you for your time and thank you for listening. And should you have any questions, like Konstantin said, just don't hold back. Let us know and connect with us. And I just wish you success with your journey with AI.
Yeah, thank you so much. And MindTitan is always happy to help you. So please fill in the survey and register for the workshop. We'll set up a date for a meeting. And for everyone that has holiday tomorrow, have a nice weekend. Thank you and have a nice day. Goodbye.